Hey guys, coming at you with another video, another deck profile. This time it is Unchained. Recently, sort of fell in love with this deck. I have never played it before. I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks. It might only be 3 weeks since I played the deck online. Um, and moving forward, I definitely want to play this deck more often, especially for like remote duels or any locals that I'm able to attend. But this deck is awesome. This deck is definitely my play style. I love the control aspect of it. I love the recursion. I love how it can grind. I really like how it can OTK out of nowhere. I love the resource management. It's such a fun deck to play, such an interactive deck, and I'm definitely a fan of decks, with that style and that power too. So we'll get right into it. I'm going to show you guys my take on it. Actually, before I begin, I have to give credit where it's due. And Distant Coder, he's a well-known Yugi tuber, as well as he's known for being a very informative judge online. So I actually watched his deck profile not too long ago, and I took a lot of inspiration from that deck. I think the only differences between my deck, my build, and his is that some of the trap choices, and just other stuff, maybe like in the side deck, maybe some stuff in the extra deck as well. But yeah, this is a going first build, by the way, and it is definitely heavier on the traps, but the traps just work so well with this deck that I believe that this is definitely the most powerful, I want to say, and definitely the most fun in my opinion. So because I built this deck recently and I got into the Unchained archetype a bit late, my rarities are all over the place, so that's something I'm going to be working on. So for the monsters for the Unchained, I think this is for the most part, it's pretty like mandatory to play 3 of each of the ones that you can normal summon. I mean, I have seen multiple builds play 2 Sarama, and I understand why. I guess if you play like a going second build, you could cut this down to 2, because you have I guess technically like you have a better chance of seeing this monster more, I guess, so you don't need to really max out on this. Plus you have like your 3 rotas that you play in the deck. But I feel like for going first, you definitely want to see like Unchained. Plus in the grind game, you want to have access to multiples, because they each summon themselves. They summon like other names pretty much. So like Aruha can summon like Rakea or Sarama. Sarama can summon Rakea and Aruha. So you want to have multiple copies. You want to max out, so that way you're able to grind. You never want to find yourself in a grind game and then run out of an Unchained monster to summon from the deck. So that's why you play like that's why I personally agree with maxing out on all of these monsters. And then Aruha is the one that activates in hand. This is a quick play on the field. This Sarama is just amazing because Sarama is the one that allows you to reset your traps and then destroy any other card on the field, on you control, excuse me. So that way you're able to like trigger your monsters when they're destroyed, and you're able to set up your back row as well. So I really like these. I mean, these are definitely staples at 3, but Sarama, I definitely agree, should be at 3 as well. And then for the big Unchained, the big dogs, we have 2 of the Abominable Unchained Soul, and then 1 of the Unchained Soul of Disaster. I think this is also a very good ratio, a very perfect ratio, because Disaster is really bad to like, he's not like completely dead, but you can't really do anything with him if you open him like opening hand. But like, say like you summon Abominable, you could discard him off Abominable, and then like later on you're able to revive him with Sarama and then pop him, so you're able to get his Monster Reborn effect. But he's basically one of the only monster that you really just want to summon out the deck and not like have it open up. So that's why you play the one copy. But he is just a really strong one of, because you know you're able to like link off your opponent's monsters on your turn. So it's just nice to have access to one. This card's actually pretty good to draw because he's a decent hand trap, you know, pseudo hand trap, I guess, where like if any of your cards would be destroyed, he can special summon himself, and then if he special summons himself, you can discard a card, then pop any card on the field, and he's 3k. It's pretty good. You need these cards because you need an Unchained soul monster to be able to go into your links. So yeah, these two are, I feel like 2 and 1 is definitely the correct ratio. And then we play for the last of the monsters. The only monster hand trap is 3 Ash. Ash is, it's, you know, I've mentioned it in my other videos. It's my favorite hand trap for a reason. It's good in every single format. There's not a format where Ash does not shine. It might not be the strongest hand trap in the format, but it will always be a relevant hand trap. Whereas like cards like Valor, Ogre, Nibiru, Gamma, they will go in and Droll. Those hand traps will go in and out of like formats depending on how the format's shaping to be. But Ash, I feel like, is always for the most part a staple in like every deck. And that's because it stops so much. It's good against control, good against combo. Definitely deserving of the best hand trap in my opinion. For the spells, we play 2 spells, 3 copies of each, and that is 3 Abomination, 3 Pot of Extravagance, both cards for consistency and to maintain as much card advantage as possible. Abomination Prison is definitely one of the better rotas in terms of like card design, made for a deck, because it searches any Unchained card. So you can search your traps, you could search your monsters, and it serves 2 purposes. You don't find too many rotas that have 2 purposes besides just searching for cards in your main deck. And that is, if you draw 2 copies, you can still pop 1 copy with Aruha or Rakea. So like say you opened up like an Aruha, right? And you opened up 2 Abomination Prison, 2 Abominations Prison. So Abomination Prison reads that add 1 Unchained card from your deck to your hand. And then the second effect is, if this set card is destroyed by card effect, you can special summon 1 Unchained monster from your deck. You can only use each effect of Abomination's Prison once per turn, meaning that you can use both effects, which is just fantastic. So you could use the first one to search for anything. You could search for, hypothetically, you could just search for Abomination Unchained Soul, or one of your traps, which I'll get into later. And then using the second one, you can set it, and then you can activate Aruha in hand to pop the spell and get its second effect to summon from the deck. So that is just so fantastic that you're able to actually, even if you draw 2 copies, you could activate one to search for Aruha, and then you could use a second one to pop using Aruha, the Aruha that you searched with the first one, which is like insane. That's fantastic that you're able to do that with you know, drawing 2 rotas. They'll each serve 2 different, you know, purposes, which is just amazing. And then you play 3 Extravagance, because I max out on all of the links for Unchained, so I play 3 of each link. You know, it's as long as you have 1 of each link, you're good. And the link 4 arguably is not really necessary, but I always want to have access to at least 1 of each. So Extravagance just makes sense. This is like one of the decks that are able to take advantage of a card like Pot of Extravagance. So that is it for the monsters and spells. Moving on to the traps, which is a huge thick chunk, because this is a trap deck as well. So I'm playing Escape of the Unchained, so I'm maxing out also on the Unchained traps. And again, I believe this is definitely mandatory, definitely a staple to max out on each, because you want to open at least 1 copy of one of the 6 alongside either Aruha or Rakea or your Rhoda. So you want to be able to open up you know, at least 1. If you open up like 1-in-1, that's good too, because then you'll have the pop and you'll have the special summon. But basically, whenever they're destroyed, they special summon an Unchained monster from your deck. And then on their on-field effect is, this is a revival for your Unchained monsters, but it can special summon from your hand as well. And then Escape of the Unchained is a pop. So it can target an Unchained monster you control and one card on the field, any card. It could even be your card. So you could, like, you know, trigger your traps pretty much. And then you can pop both cards. So you could pop your Unchained monster and then pop a card on the field. So just a really good interruption, as well as gaining access to your engine. And then lastly, for the 3-ofs, we have 3 Imperm. So it's a total of 6 hand traps in the main deck. We have 3 Ash, 3 Imperm. Imperm, I feel like, you know, just definitely a very powerful hand trap. As everybody knows, can dodge cards like the 1-of Called by the Grave, as well as Triple Tactics, and it's just a very strong card. And I believe that, you know, 3 Ash and 3 Imperm, just they cover so much that you can't go wrong with playing those 2 hand traps. And then I play 2 Trap Trick. There's a lot of 2-ofs, as you'll see in a moment. So we have 2 Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute is very, very strong in this deck because it destroys all monsters on the field. And if you happen to brick, meaning if you happen to draw either Sarama, Rekea, or Aruha, and no Unchained traps, and you could set the monster, you could set the Torrential, blow up your opponent's field, and then along with your Unchained monster, and then your Unchained monster will trigger to summon another Unchained monster with a different name from the deck. So that's why Torrential does shine in this deck, because your monsters gain effects off being destroyed. And then we play the 2 Ice Dragon Prison. Just excellent removal, very good in today's meta. Just hits all the major decks. Just a very strong card. Even if your opponent doesn't have the same type, you can still interrupt their plays by reviving a monster in their graveyard. And then 2 D-Barrier. Okay, this is a card that I personally have not played in I don't know how long. I can't even, let me try to think. I have not played D-Barrier since I think I played it a year. I might have tried it a year ago just to play against Thunder Dragons, but I'm not even sure if I did. It might have been like some spicy tech I tried to play just one time, but I want to say the last time I played it was at least 2 to 3 years ago. But I feel like in this format, it definitely does shine. Synchro is just so relevant. Synchro combo, any deck that plays Needle Fiber, Link Cross, anybody that plays the whole Boral Savage, Herald of Arc Light, D-Barrier is going to put in work. D-Barrier also puts work against Virtual World, which, if you haven't heard, is one of the top decks right now, and for good reason. That deck is insanely good, and it's insanely good because it's able to access cards like Calamities and their Macrocosmo Shen, cards like Vermilion Mech, cards like Croco Dragon. All those cards are insane. D-Barrier stops all of that. You can call Synchro, you can call Xyz. I would probably call Synchro, because if you call Synchro, they can't make Calamities. They can only make very, very subpar monsters from the extra deck, such as, they're like rank 6. Maybe they can go into Zeus, but there's so many other ways that you could stop their plays. So D-Barrier definitely puts in a lot of work in today's meta. And then the last of the traps, we play 2 Heavy Storm Duster. Heavy Storm Duster actually serves multiple purposes. Not only does it pop your opponent's spells and traps, but it also gets your engine going. And by that I mean that if you draw any of your Unchained traps and no Unchained monsters, but you have access to like Trap Trick or Heavy Storm, then you can have this set. And then, if your opponent tries to, I don't know, if they're playing like Invoke, they activate Magical Meltdown, or anything. Even if they set a card, they pass, you could activate this, pop your own set, which is your Unchained trap. In this case, it's Unchained, Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, and their Meltdown or their back row. And then you're able to gain access to your engine, to your Unchained engine, because of Heavy Storm Duster. So I feel like that implication, that application is definitely worth having this card. And Heavy Storm Duster is just really good. It's the twin twisters without the discard, so that's pretty strong. And then again, we play the 2 trap tricks, so we have a 3rd and 4th copy theoretically of all of these cards, and then we have a 4th and 5th copy of all the Unchained traps as well as Imperm if we need to have access to Imperm as well. So that is it for the main deck. It is 40 cards. Moving into the extra deck, we have, again, as I mentioned before, I play 3 of every Unchained Link monster, so we have access to 3. So that is 3 Unchained Soul of Rage, 3 Unchained Soul of Anguish, and then Unchained Abomination. These are the 2 more important ones, specifically Soul. This one, people say, is the least, but the thing is, I feel like Unchained Abomination, he's just, he plays such an important role as well, because when you link off when you're actually, something I forgot to mention is that Rekeya and Aruha lock you into Fiends. So if you activate either of their effects on your turn, you are locked into Fiends. And if you activate on your opponent's turn, you are locked into Fiends. So you want to be able to link into Fiends, right? So Soul is the one that can use your special summon monster that your opponent controls during their main phase only to link summon into a Dark Link monster. So you can link into Anguish, and then Anguish during your turn can use during your turn can use, not a quick effect, during your main phase, can use your opponent's monster to link summon. But the cool thing is that Anguish, along with Disaster, they actually don't have to use special summon monsters. So you can use a normal summon monster with Anguish to link summon, like your opponent's normal summoned monster, as well as their special summon monster, to link summon. Whereas Unchained Soul says that you can only target a face-up special summon monster your opponent controls. So I do like that this can use a normal summon monster as well. And then Abomination is just a monster. He's a beast. I mean, it's a monster of a card is what I meant. But he is just an absolute beast, because if a card on the field is destroyed by card effect, it could be your card being destroyed, your opponent's card. You can target a card on the field, destroy it. If a monster would be destroyed by battle, he can target a card on the field, destroy it, and then during the end phase, he can also target a card on the field and destroy it. So he is just absolutely insane. He's 3K. He can clear an entire board by himself, but in combination with your Unchained monster, they just go so well together, because you're going to get rid of a monster using Soul, you're going to get rid of a monster using Anguish, and then you're going to get rid of multiple cards using Abomination. So again, the reason that I want to max out on all of them is because, we do play Extrav, and for the grind game, I want to have access to as many as possible. And then also, I forgot to mention that Anguish and Soul actually float. So not only do they get you amazing effects on the field by using your opponent's monsters as link material, but they also float, which means that they gain effects when they get destroyed. So Unchained Soul of Rage will actually add you, both of them actually will add you a Fiend monster back to your hand. So if Anguish, if your opponent, or even if you were to use Escape of the Unchained, so say you flip up Escape of the Unchained to target your Anguish and your opponent's card and destroy both, you will gain value off your card being destroyed as well, because you'll be able to target a Fiend monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, which is just awesome. It's so cool that you get that recursion even though you've used this card just to destroy your opponent's card, which is so nice. So you don't lose card advantage, which is amazing. I hope I'm doing a good job explaining this deck so far, because I do really enjoy this deck and I definitely want to be as informative as possible. So for the other links, we have Phoenix, Phoenix, Cerberus, and then Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Unicorn is the most important out of the three because it is another card that you can link summon during your opponent's turn using the Soul. So with Soul, which is right here, you can target your opponent's special summon monster, link summon using your opponent's monster. So you get rid of your opponent's monster, link summon into Phoenix, and then with Phoenix, you can get rid of another card. So you can target a card on the field, spin it back, which is really cool. You can't link summon into these because it has to be a dark link monster. But these are just good options to have in your extra deck because they are fiends. So if you're locked into fiends because you used Rakeya or Ruha's effect, then you can still go into Phoenix and Cerberus. And then for the other two link fours, we have one access code, one topologic Zeroboros. They are both dark link monsters, so you're able to link summon them using Soul and using Anguish as well. The only thing that sucks is that they're both cybers and they're not fiends. If they were fiends, it would be infinitely better. But access code is just a really good way to clear boards and then attack for a game. And then Zeroboros can give you access to that non-targeting, non-destruction removal and banish everything. And then it could really get beefy and be able to attack over things. And then for the last card in the extra deck, we play the One Ding Girsu. You can make this relatively easily by using your 8s, which are your Disaster and your Abominable Unchained Soul. So they're 2 level 8s, and then you could go in a Ding to get rid of more cards on your opponent's side of the field. So I just want to show you really quickly how simple your turn 1 boards actually look. They're not much of a board. It's just your basic setup, your common setup that you'll be having with this deck. Again, this deck is a control deck, and you want to be able to outgrind your opponent. And so if with these 2 cards, you'll always be drawing like other traps, maybe hand traps. It's very simple. And what I like about this deck, it does not worry about cards like Ghost Ogre, cards like Nibiru. Those cards don't really do much against this deck. If you draw a Ruha, in this case, I will activate Aruha's effect to target the set. Then I'm going to destroy the set to special the Aruha from hand. Because this was destroyed by a card effect, I'm going to activate the effect of Escape to summon Sarama. And this is where Sarama really, really shines, is because Sarama will always get us this trap back. Okay, so the trap that we destroyed, we will always get it back. So we're going to activate Sarama's effect. We're going to set the Escape and then destroy any card we control on the field. So we're going to destroy the Aruha. Then we're going to activate the Aruha's effect in Grave. Since it was destroyed, we're going to summon the Abominable Unchained Soul. Okay, because we need an Unchained Soul monster to be able to access our link monsters. And then we want to keep Disaster in the deck because we want to have access to Disaster like later on our following turn. So we're going to link these 2 off into our Unchained Soul of Rage. Okay, so your end board will typically end with these so combination of like either the Escape or Chamber. Chamber is the other Unchained trap. So if you draw this, you'll just have this set instead of your Escape. And what's really cool is that even though this board doesn't really look intimidating, obviously, like I said, you're going to have 3 other cards in hand. They're most likely going to be like other traps, like Torrential Tribute, like Heavy Storm Duster, Trap Trick, Imperm, Ash Blossom in hand. You're going to have other cards, obviously. But just with these 2 cards, you're going to be able to link summon using your opponent's monster. So you're going to link summon most of the time. If you're stopping them early on in their turn, you're going to go into Anguish, and then you're going to be able to activate Escape to pop the Anguish, pop another card your opponent controls, and then with Anguish you're going to be able to add the Sarama, so that way Sarama can actually give you a follow play. So after doing what you just did to interrupt your opponent, and with the other cards you have access to, On your following turn, you're going to be able to normal summon the Sarama to set the escape, and then you're going to be able to pop the escape, and then escape gets you access to your Rakea. And then what's really cool is that let's assume that your opponent has like no monsters. You're able to attack with the Rakea, attack with Sarama, and then use Rakea's effect. It's a quick effect. Target any card, any other card you control, any card, including himself, but including herself. But you want to pop another card like Sarama to get the effect. So you're going to pop the Sarama in battle phase, and you're going to summon your second copy of Abominable Unchained Soul. And then Abominable Unchained Soul has an effect, right? Like I mentioned before, when it's special summon, you can discard a card. So let's assume you have another card in hand that you're going to discard to pop your Rakea. And then with Rakea, you're going to summon the Aruha. So you took 3K, and now you're going to take another 4,500. Okay, so it's so cool that you're, again, just because this so you got 7,500 points of damage because you had the, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, you can actually go, no, you can't actually, because he would, Disaster, I figured Disaster would be the, Disaster would be boosted a bit more, but it actually, no, it actually would. Yeah, so actually this would be an OTK. So instead of summoning the Aruha, you would summon Disaster, and Disaster actually gains a 300 attack for each Unchained monster. And I think at this point, we would have had Unchained card, right? Unchained card in your graveyard. So it doesn't even have to be different names. So you, at this point, you would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that's actually 2,100. So that would be an OTK actually. So you would attack with the Sarama, the Rakea, and then use Rakea's effect, pop Sarama. Sarama will summon the Abominable Unchained Soul. Unchained Soul will destroy your Rakea, summoning Disaster from the deck. And Disaster will be at 2,100, and you know, Abominable is at 3K, so that's 5,100 plus the 3K you took prior to summoning those two. So that it would actually be an OTK on your following turn. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, please let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys play this deck, enjoy this deck. I'm looking forward to definitely playtesting a bit more using this deck, playing it online much more. As always, take it easy. I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace.